Hello, boys and girls. For this week, we are going to create an art project that is going to take multiple days to complete. So each day we will start at one point and we will stop. So we won't completely finish one project. It'll go the whole week, and each day you will work on it little by little. So please do not continue ahead. This is a week-long project for you to continue to work on throughout the week. I hope this helps. Thank you so much. Can't wait to see what you make. Hello, boys and girls. We're going to think about those different lines that we worked with last time. And what we're going to do is we're going to add on to that picture of just those lines. And we're going to turn those lines into different shapes. So here's an example of my project, just to give you an idea of what yours could look like at the end. But we're gonna do this little by little. So we're gonna start at the top section and for the first day, and then we're gonna go to the next section for the second day. So we're gonna work on it little by little because there's lots of details that we have to add, and it's gonna be really hard if we do it all in one day. We're gonna get kind of tired. So make sure that you do this little bit by little bit so that it's nice and neatly colored in and there's no white spaces showing on your paper. All right, thank you so much. I can't wait to see what you create. It's gonna look so cool. Hi, boys and girls. Last time we were together, we learned about all the different kinds of lines and we created our own on our paper. We made zigzag lines, spirals, broken lines, and several more lines. So this week we are looking at shapes. So we're going to be using the same project that we used last time, and we're going to add to this little by little. So what we're going to do is we are going to look at the different sections where our lines meet and create a shape. So this kind of creates a rectangle, maybe a rhombus or a diamond shape. So we can use different materials to color these in. So if I want to use marker, I can take my marker and I want to make sure I'm using a different color than I used before because I want those lines to stand out. So I'm going to go in with my material. I'm using a marker, but you can use crayon, colored pencil, you can use paint, but you're paying attention to those specific shapes. And I blocked mine off and I made sure to color inside the lines where the lines meet and completely color it in so that there's no white spaces. I can also create paint. If I want to use paint and I don't have any at home, I can use some food coloring, and I can put some drops of food coloring and a little bit of water, and I can mix it up to create my own paint. So I created some purple paint and some blue paint and some green paint using my food coloring. Okay, so I'm going to use some purple paint that I created. If you don't have a paintbrush, you can try using a Q-tip, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to color in, making sure anywhere those lines meet creates like a little wall. So I'm going to make sure I go inside those lines, following those lines to create that shape. Okay, so maybe now I want to use green. So I'm washing off my brush, mixing it up in the water, wiping that paint off the side so that I have a nice clean brush. And I'm going to add some green paint. coloring it all the way in, following those lines so that I see that area. So I'm starting up at the top of my paper because I want to work from the top of my paper and work my way down. So little by little, I'm paying attention to those different areas and coloring them in. So maybe I want this triangle shape to be yellow. And maybe I want this shape here, looks almost like a pentagon, to be purple. So it takes time to color it nicely, but it's completely worth it. I'm going to use some crayon now to color in this rectangle pink. Taking my time. I don't want to rush this because I want it to be super colorful, nice and neatly done inside those lines. There's a new color. So right now I'm just using any color I want that's a different color than the lines that I created. But I can use maybe just 2 colors to color it in. And if I'm using a little amount of color, then I can create a pattern. So if I were to use blue and then green and blue and then green, it's going to create a pattern of color. But you can do any colors that you want. You can create a pattern, or you can do just whatever color you like. I'm going to put some red right here. And I like to trace around the border following the curves and the lines to make sure that I get all the little spots nicely colored so that I'm not missing any areas where I need to add those colors. I'm taking my time. Okay, I'm gonna add this red up here. It's a different red than the marker red. A little triangle. And I'm going to start a pattern. So I used red here, purple here. So what color would go next if I have red, purple, red? That's right, red would go right here. So this spot would be red to continue that pattern. Now to continue continuing that pattern, to keep the pattern going, what color would I need to put next? What color would go red, purple, red, purple? That's right. So the next color that I put on right here on this triangle going off the page would be purple. And I'm missing a color here. So if I have purple, red, I could put purple there. And it would look kind of like my pattern is continuing to go. Now the cool thing about paint and crayon is that the crayon and the paint resist each other. It's called a crayon resist because the paint doesn't stick on top of the crayon. So that's something cool if you want to mix different materials. If you use crayon and then you apply paint, it won't go over the top of the crayon. So you'll still be able to see those lines nice and neatly on your paper. So you're just going to do this top section to add color to. And that's all we're going to do for today is just this top. Don't worry about the rest of it. I just want you to make sure that you have everything colored in nice and neatly by the end of our class today. Okay, so I'm going to continue working on this just like you are working on it too. So we're going to be working on it at the same time, coloring it in nice and neatly, making sure that we're not going outside the lines and we're not scribbling it in or missing any white areas. Make sure that it's all colored in nice and neatly. All right, so here's what my picture looks like for the end of our first day. And I can kind of see some areas here where I might need to go back and color it in just a little bit more because I can see some white spaces. And I don't want to see any white areas because I want it to just be full of color. So I'm going back in and making sure that it's nice and colorful for our first day of filling in the shapes. Filling in those shapes, finding some shapes. It's like we're on a scavenger hunt for shapes, finding them and coloring them in. So, making sure that you are finding those shapes and coloring them in nice and neatly. Nice and neatly. So this is the end of our first day of just coloring in the top. We still have lots to do to make our picture stand out and filled with shapes. So we're gonna stop here today, but day 2, we're gonna continue working on this. So we're not done, we have more to do. We'll see you soon.